Hey everybody, it's InnoVision, and today I've got a real treat for you. As you know, PC games are big, and I really don't know why they ship this with a 1TB SSD. The first thing I did as soon as I got it is upgrade my SSD. And in today's video, I'm gonna share a step-by-step guide on how to upgrade your internal SSD in your Lenovo Legion Go 2. I'll also share the complete list of materials I use to make it happen. Stick around because you don't want to miss any of it. If you're enjoying my how-to guides and handheld related content, be sure to like the video and subscribe. That way you get that notification as soon as a new video comes out. As we get started, I would like to share the materials I used to upgrade my SSD in my Legion Go 2. The most important part is which SSD to use. And for my project, I use this Lexar NM790. Now, what's interesting about this unit, it comes with a heatsink pre-installed. The heatsink will not fit in the Legion Go 2, and you actually don't need it. The Legion Go 2 already has its own heatsink built into the fan, and it stretches across the full length of a 2280 SSD, and you'll see that shortly. The reason I chose this version that has the heatsink was it was $30 cheaper when I picked it up on Prime sale than the version that didn't have it. And so I was able to shuck the SSD out, remove it. I now have a really neat heatsink that I can use for another SSD should I choose to. For my project, I chose a 4TB SSD because that fit the price point for my budget. But the steps that I'm going to share here today work with any SSD, including an 8TB SSD. What I like about this SSD, it runs very cool and it kind of just sips power. So I know it's not going to have any power impact on my system. If anything, it might perform slightly better than the stock SSD. But we get 7,400 megabytes per second read speeds, which is awesome for loading terrains and map when you're gaming. In addition to the SSD, you'll need a small Phillips head screwdriver used for small electronics, and you'll need a pry tool. Now, I also have a curved pry tool, which proved to be especially helpful for the Legion Go 2 because it uses very high quality plastic, and I wanted to be able to wedge it in there and just kind of scoop it up without chipping the plastic or putting like ding marks in it. And to be quite frank with you, I have my own kind of Franken kit. So over the years, through various projects, I've accumulated different tools and accessories. And so I kind of put together my own kit. In the description of this video, I'll share a link to a comprehensive toolkit just in case you don't have these things already. And so it'll provide you with everything you need. And I'll also provide a link to the SSD I used, as well as some other comparable SSDs that I've also tested here in my shop. And what I would recommend is if you're going to take on this project, Black Friday and Cyber Monday are right around the corner. So I would wait and try to pick up these SSDs on sale. Right now, there's something very interesting going on in the industry as a whole. We're starting to experience a shortage of the chips that are used to make SSDs because AI research labs are just snatching them up. They need this to store their models and training data. So right now, it's hard to find them for the prices I found them like 6 months ago. And the last thing you'll need is the ability to copy or reinstall Windows to your new SSD once it's installed in your Legion Go 2. Now, if you plan on cloning your drive, then you would just leave the stock drive in your Legion Go 2 and then use a USB enclosure to attach your new drive, then clone the drive that way. I personally do not like cloning drives. I like to do a full reinstall. I'll share a link in the description of this video that has a step-by-step guide on how to create a USB recovery media from the Lenovo website and reinstall it on your Legion Go 2. Since the Legion Go 2 ships with Windows pre-installed, if you acquire your recovery media from Lenovo, it already includes your Windows serial key, so there's no need to pay for an additional serial key. It'll automatically activate itself once it's connected to the internet. All right, it's time for the fun part. Let's get started. As we get started, I'd like to lay down a soft microfiber cloth. I'll also provide links to these cloths in the description of the video. But I love these. They're oversized microfiber cloths, but they're handy for projects like this. The first thing we're going to do is remove both of the controllers and just set them aside safely. And then we're going to lay the Legion Go with the tablet facing down. That's really why you want this microfiber cloth, so we don't scratch the screen or anything like that. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to remove a total of 8 screws. So there's 6 along the left and right side, and then there's 2 hidden under the kickstand. This particular bit doesn't go deep enough into the screw holes behind the kickstand, so we need this one because it's thin, it can reach in there. But I like this one because it's magnetized, so it helps pull some of the screws out. So I'm just going to go all the way around my Legion Go 2, just unscrewing the 2 sides first, and then I'm just gonna set my screws to the side here. You can use like a small medicine cup or a container to hold your screws, but they're not gonna roll around here, so I'm comfortable with that. All right, so we've removed all the screws on the left and right side, and now we need to remove the two that are beneath the kickstand. And the nice thing about these screws, they're all the same size, so you don't need to worry about mixing them up or anything like that. And now all the screws have been removed. I'm going to start towards the bottom edge of the case here and use my angled pry tool to kind of get in there and start opening it. And so I'm just kind of scooping, I'm going in like this and then scooping up, scooping motion. And if it's your first time opening the case, it's going to be a little bit challenging, but you're just going to kind of go around the perimeter of the case doing this. Once you get a big enough opening, then you can switch to this standard pry tool if you choose. I find that that's easier once you've got it going here. And I'm just working my way around the edges of the Legion Go 2 backplate. And you just want to be careful. You don't want to create little gashes in the plastic here. This is a very high quality plastic, so the risk is kind of low there. But you don't want to go around like a barbarian just like opening stuff willy-nilly. Just kind of gently press it in there. There's little teeth on the inside that attach to the backplate, and so we're just going in and kind of loosening them. Okay. The other nice thing about the microfiber cloth is I can rotate this around freely without scratching anything as I work my way around the edges here. And we almost got it off. And as you do this, just be mindful that you're not going to accidentally tap the power button. If it does happen, you're going to want to hold the power button down until it shuts off completely. All right, so the back plate is now completely removed. And so I'm just going to rotate it back to our initial position and then just remove the back plate here. And you can just kind of sit it to the side since it's got a kickstand. It'll stay upright. We've got this big fan in the middle and we've got the battery here. And before we do anything, we want to disconnect the battery. And so if you're trying to pull the battery connector out, you can use your fingernail. Some folks might use the angled pry tool. I don't like to do that. I'm going to gently lift this up and it just pops right off. And just be careful, you're not going to be too harsh with it. You don't want to bend the cables or fray them. Now that our battery is disconnected, we're going to be removing an additional 3 screws that holds the battery and the fan down. So now we're going to remove these 3 screws to be able to lift the battery up. And again, these screws are the same size as the ones we removed earlier to get the back plate off. And as you do this, just be careful you don't accidentally puncture the battery. You know, that can create a little bit of smoke and sparks. You don't want to do that. So I'm just very carefully removing all 3 of the screws that hold the battery and the fan into place. All right. And this is another advantage of this screwdriver. It's nice and magnetized. It pulls the bits right out. And so now we've got all the screws removed to be able to lift the battery straight out. I'm going to use this angled pry tool to kind of get under the lip here. And you're going to want to hold on to it just for a second like that. And you're going to come through with both hands and just kind of tilt it up and then lift it straight out. You definitely want to use 2 hands when handling the battery, otherwise it'll start to warp and it could break. And so I'm just going to set this over here for now. And the last thing that we have to do is just lift the fan straight up. You can disconnect the connector cable for the fan if you so choose, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to kind of lean it to the side here and gently just prop it up out of the way without scratching any of the components. And then you can see I've got my Lexar 790 already installed. The heatsink has been removed. When you get the console, it looks like this. You'll just unscrew this one screw, hold it aside. This screw is different than all the other ones we've removed. And then you're going to gently lift this, and the whole unit comes up and out. And I would save this little peg that goes right over the 2242 slot length. So save that with your SSD in a safe location. But we're not going to need it because we're installing the full-size NVMe SSD, which uses the 2280. Here's our Lexar 790 with the heatsink removed. And so make sure you orient it so that the longer edge is towards you and the smaller edge is that way. And that's the way you match up the key with the slot. And you'll just come in at an angle and you'll hear a little snap. All right, it's snapped. And so now you'll just make sure it matches with the mounting screw hole, and you'll just screw it down. All right, and so I made sure that it's nice and secure. Don't over tighten it because you'll strip your screws. All right, we're taking a quick station break. It's our halftime show. Get up, stretch your legs, walk around a little bit, and enjoy this. So what we have right here is a gift from YouTube, and it's part of their YouTube Partner Perks program, where they're celebrating their 20th anniversary and sending gifts to certain content creators in this invite-only program. The box looks incredible. I love the art. You know, it's the first time I've gotten something like this for doing our content creation. And we've got a little card here. And so it says, lights, camera, action. You've scored a limited edition YouTube clapperboard. Oh, sick. It even has its own little marker here. Look at that. They gave us this cute little limited edition YouTube clapperboard, and it even comes with a YouTube dry erase marker. Let's see how it sounds. It's pretty satisfying. Thank you, YouTube Partner Perks. This is such a cool gift. Thanks for sending it. And then you'll see here, this fan that came with the Legion Go 2 already has a heatsink built in. This other edge here is part of the heatsink, and then these are thermal pads already integrated for transferring the heat to the back of the heatsink. So there's two pegs that you need to match up when you reinstall the fan. One here and one here. And so they go right through the holes in the fan. And so I'm just going to make sure that it's flush on my SSD here, so that way we're making contact with the memory banks. That all looks good. And so we're going to gently lift our battery up with two hands. And similar to how the fan had to just fit in an exact position, the battery is going to do the same. I like to just come in like this and gently lay it down. And it looks like everything's matched up here. It's matched up with the fan mounting pegs. And so now we can go ahead and reinstall the screws that hold the fan and the battery in place. And what I like to do here is kind of just gently tighten them, but not all the way, until I have all the screws in place. Then I'll go around and tighten them all until I start to get resistance. And then you just want to be careful you're not over tightening. With all my screws in place, I'm just going to tighten them until I start to get resistance, but don't over tighten. All right, so all the screws are in place. I'm happy with how they feel. Now we can reconnect the battery. All right, and now that it's in place, I'm just going to push it down with my fingernail. You can push down on the edge of the cords too, gently, if needed. All right, so all of that is in place. So the next thing we're gonna do, be very careful. Let's remove our microfiber cloth out of the way. Be careful you don't knock your screws out of the way. So I'm laying my Legion Go on this flat surface here, and I'm giving it plenty of ventilation so that the fan can still breathe. We're not gonna have it on for a very long time. I just wanna confirm that the solid state drive is detected. And so this is a good test. We're kind of 75% done here. We're just gonna have to reassemble, but we want to double check that the solid state drive is in there. So what you'll do is you'll hold the volume plus and tap the power button, and hold the volume plus or volume up. And this is going to be kind of an unusually long amount of time because we've removed the battery, and so the BIOS is going to go around and detect all the hardware and the configurations and stuff like that again. So we're just going to be sitting here for a minute or two holding volume plus. All right, and so if we go under BIOS setup, you would see in here no boot devices. If it's a brand new SSD, you'd have to go into more settings, and then you'd see right here Lexar SSD NM790 4 terabytes, and this would read whatever solid state drive you have installed instead. And so if that all looks good, you'll just hold down the power button until it shuts off. We're going to hold this carefully, bring our microfiber cloth back, and we're going to get ready to lay our Legion Go 2 face down into the microfiber cloth. And if for whatever reason you don't see your solid state drive there, that means that it wasn't seated properly. And what you'll want to do is take the screws out, take the battery out, take the fan back out, and just make sure the SSD is seated correctly. Everything looks good here, and it's time to reinstall the backplate. So I'm just going to take the backplate and lay it right back over where it needs to go, and I'm going to gently push around the edges until it snaps in everywhere. And just kind of go around the edges, double check everything's, see, you'll sometimes see a couple that didn't snap in all the way. All right, that looks good. Now it's time to reinstall all the screws. So I'm just going to go around the perimeter, dropping each screw into its respective slot, and I'm going to go ahead and just tighten them down a little bit, but not all the way. Once we get all the screws in place, then I'll go around and tighten them all. Alright, so everything's tightened. I like how it feels. And now I'm ready to reinstall my controllers. And so if we go into our BIOS setup, we can see that we've got Windows, we've got SteamOS. If I want to go into SteamOS, I just move it up to the top slot, hit exit, and then click save and exit, and it'll go into SteamOS. Alright, so I'm in SteamOS. I'm going to go ahead and power down and then get back to Windows. And so you can just go straight to boot menu once you're all set up. You don't actually have to go into the BIOS. And I'm going to pick the Windows boot manager. Only if you want whatever boot option to always be the first one do you have to go into BIOS. Otherwise you can just use the boot menu. And so I'm in. If you made it this far in the video, give yourself a pat on the back, because I can totally see where this installation could be intimidating if you're less experienced with projects like this, especially because you have to remove the battery and the fan in order to get to the NVMe SSD. Don't forget to check out the video description for a link on how to reinstall Windows should you need it. Stop by, drop a comment, let me know how the video helped you out. Let me know your experience with it. I take what you say and it becomes feedback for our future videos. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like it and hype it and subscribe. It helps the community out so I can keep making videos like this, and it also ensures you get that notification so you don't miss all the amazing toys and gaming tips we've got coming down the pipeline.